Good day, viewers. You are live with Tribune TV. I am Deborah Mustafa, and it's another episode of Tribune Updates. With me here is a prominent personnel, His Royal Majesty Oba Michael Ajayi, Aro Tawayatu. Your Royal Majesty, sir.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Starting with Oba Dr. Michael Ajayi, the Elerimo of Erimo Ijesa land, the scion of the Aro Tawaya ruling house, is known as one of the most prominent, influential, notable, and respected Nigerians. He's a consummate businessman, an author, writer, publisher, motivational speaker, a social critic, and a commentator. He has widely traveled locally and internationally. He was chosen by the Aro Tawaya ruling dynasty and accepted by the majority of the Erimo Ijesa land kingmakers. Since his accession to the throne of his forefathers, he has been active in reorganizing the town for rapid development and also been active in Odunayo Chieftaincy Committee. Over to Your Majesty.
Thank you.
I learned that you graduated at age 20 from University of Ilorin.
Yes.
How did you make it happen due to the fact that back then people don't graduate early?
Well, I was born to a learned family, and I will tell you that my father, the late Ashiwaju Joseph Olubowale Ajayi, was the first university graduate in Erimo. My mother was a trained teacher, so naturally there was no delay in my education, and I would have graduated at 19 if I was allowed to get into secondary school from primary 5. Wow. So I guess it's just what has been ordained.
Okay. Sir, has it ever occurred to you that you'll be a traditional ruler one day, especially the Elerimo of Erimo Ijesa land?
Well, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I was born into the royal family, so naturally any prince of the royal family will be entitled to the throne. What I remember very well was coming across some prophecies which had told my parents, right in my presence, that I would become a king. But again, I was a young kid, so this did not make much difference. And then I remember that growing up, whenever we were doing some drama, some plays, I always insisted on acting as the king. I wanted to be the boss. So maybe these were the early indications that this was going to be. But growing up, I honestly never looked on that side. I didn't even address myself as a prince because that didn't matter. I needed to, make something on my own. But I thank God because I guess this is my divine calling.
Okay, what has been your experience so far being a traditional ruler?
There's nothing else I would have asked for more from God than to be in this kind of position. And when you look at it from the Yoruba parlance, it says that a king is the head that everybody worships. When you sit on the throne and people who are older than your father are prostrating for you, then you understand the level of responsibility that that position gives you. So I thank God Almighty for the opportunity to be here. As an individual, you think for yourself. As the head of a family, you think for your family. When you are the head of a community as a king, then it goes beyond that. So it will refer me to what our president said. You belong to everybody. But I can't say I belong to nobody because I belong to everybody. Yes.
Okay, can you tell us more about Erimo land?
Okay, Erimo is an ancient town within the Yoruba historical context. And is a unique town in the sense that Erimo was created by the only individual who has been the Oni of Ife on 2 occasions, and whose father was also a one-time Oni of Ife. That is Oba Lufon Alaye More, who is the son of Oba Lufon Ogbogbojorin, one-time Oni of Ife. And when he had become Oni of Ife on his own, after his father died, he had to vacate the throne when Oromiyan wanted the throne. And then leaving Ife with his people, of course, stopped by a couple of places, including Erimo, before moving on to Efon-Alaye, where he became king after leaving his son in Erimo. And eventually, when there was a vacancy in Ife, he went back to Ife again to become Oni of Ife. Erimo is also special in the sense that God has equipped us with I would say, the most spiritually potent mountains in the whole of Nigeria, if not the whole of Africa, where people from all over the world, diverse religion, come to climb the mountain and pray for spiritual solutions to problems that are immediate. And there are like millions of cases that confirm that once people climb the mountain and they pray, the prayers are always answered. And right now, in the modern day, Erimo is in between so many axes. We are a neighboring town to so many, about 7 other towns. We are a border town because we are, Erimo is the last town in Osun State before you get into Efonala in Ekiti. And there is in the middle of almost everywhere.
Okay, so we are in the computer age, Your Royal Majesty. What do you have to say to the youth out there concerning culture and tradition?
Well, computer age or no computer age, I would say that the youth must understand where they are coming from. Computer, as they taught us those days, is garbage in, garbage out. If you don't put the right things in, you won't get the right results. So, in spite of the fact that this is a modern age, we are here. I'm here today speaking to you. It's part of modernity. But you greeted me in the normal, traditional way, notwithstanding the fact that we are using modern equipment. So I would say that the youth must understand where they come from. And in sociology, this is when people get confused, you lose the background from where you are coming and you are not sure where you are going. Then they become what they refer to as ethnic ghettos. So it's important that youths must understand where they come from, because our culture in Yoruba land are imbibed with all the needed aspects to allow a young man grow up to become a successful man. There is that issue of the respect for elders. There is that issue of being a man of honor. There is that issue of loyalty. Everything is already properly stated as you grow up. So in spite of any kind of modernity that we may have, I would still suggest that the youths are able to understand their culture. And this is the job of the elders to put them through.
Thank you so much, Sir Kabiesi. Ijesa, Azix is notorious with kidnapping incident. What do you think is the way out, Your Royal Majesty?
Well, I wouldn't agree that Ijesa Axis is notorious for that. I would say that Nigeria is under a siege. It's a problem that we find almost everywhere. Boko Haram is not in Ijesa land. There has been kidnapping all over Nigeria, not just in the southwest. It's easier. Maybe there are some few cases of this kidnapping. But you know, it brings me to the point that I've always clamored for. There has to be a fourth tier of government, which is the traditional rulers. Right from inception, we know that God is God. Every religion understands there's a God Almighty, and we as kings know that God is the king. And so being a king means that we are representing God on earth. The next thing to look at is that who is that person who is closest to the people? It is the king. Who is that person who is permanently with the people, who stays on the throne for a lifetime? You are on this job. You probably cannot be on this job for your lifetime. You may be on the job to a particular age and retire. You will still leave the job. A king is on the job forever. So because he's on the job forever, he's able to understand the peculiar problems within the area. Trying to resolve a problem behind the people who know about the problem is like trying to barb somebody's head behind his back, which is not going to be possible. And you know, people have talked about state police or so on. Maybe there is a better name to call it. The issue is that in every town we have vigilantes, we have local hunters. These hunters are able to engage and go into the forest and be able to bring out the miscreants at any time. But this requires engaging the traditional rulers. It is not the police can do the finishing job after that aspect has been done. If you look at the case of Boko Haram, the only time they started recording reasonable success was when they introduced the civilian JTF, where there has to be some level of involvement of the civilian who know how to gather information and intelligence and then bring it back to the law enforcement to do. So my solution to it is quite simple. The government needs to engage the traditional ruler. The issue is that even when the British were here as our colonial masters, they engaged the traditional rulers in what we now know as indirect rule. But to sit in a central government and expect to have a policy that goes around everybody is like a mirage. It's not going to happen. You look at the country like America. America doesn't have a central policing system. There's an FBI, which is just an intelligence arm for the federal government. But you go to Los Angeles, you see LAPD, Los Angeles Police Division. You go to New York, you see. So peculiar crimes for peculiar locations. And so that's what we need to begin to look at.
Okay. Your Royal Majesty, can the Yoruba traditional rulers speak in one voice against rampage of Fulani herdsmen in Yoruba land?
I believe we are already doing that. There has been a meeting of the Yoruba Obas Forum in Ibadan. and there was a communique which confirmed this. There was another meeting called in which Iku Baba Lafi came, and a couple of traditional rulers. Everybody is speaking. Is a general problem, and is a common problem that affects all of us. So definitely, I would say that all traditional rulers in Yoruba land definitely want an end to this kind of insurgency. We know Yoruba people to be educated people, we know them to be well behaved, and that's why we call ourselves Omoluabi. So allowing any foreigner, any kind of foreign ministry, or the few bad eggs amongst us cannot be tolerated.
Thank you so much, Kabiesi. It has been a good time with you.
Thank you.
Yes, at this juncture we have to come to the end of the show. I remain your favorite, Deborah Mustafa. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Tribune Online TV for more updates and programs. Till the next show, stay fresh. Thank you.